Always up.
Welcome to Generation Dragons, episode 91. Steve, we're 9 away from 100.
Salta! Right? We're almost there.
We're almost at Sant.
Well, if
Sant.
you count some for odd episodes and like Jake's chests and weird things that we've done, we're probably
Yeah,
over 100.
but not quite
Fine.
there, not quite there after all these years. And look, we're only 2 weeks since the last time we recorded. Well, by the time we put this up, maybe 2.5 weeks, but crap,
Yeah,
man.
I'll,
We're doing all
I'll get it
right.
up
We're
by the
doing all right.
weekend there.
We're doing okay. How are you, by the way?
Doing well, my man. I know you're not doing so well with all your traveling and getting sick,
Yeah,
but it's always good to see you. See ya.
yeah, you too.
Cheers. Think.
Well, before we kind of get going, welcome everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Always appreciated. If you like what we're talking about, the like and follow and all that good stuff. If you like what we're putting in your ears or in your eyeballs, appreciate it. But yeah, Steve, today we're talking about games that push the systems. Now, everybody, we know there's a good chance we missed a couple. We have a
Oh,
list.
we
We're
know
gonna
there's
go
a
through a few.
bit. Going to miss a lot because we have a
Um,
list that we dwindle down.
yeah.
So
True, true. So let us know what you think on the list of games that we have missed.
yeah, before we jump right into it, just to clarify, it's a list that pushes the hardware of a system, in our opinion.
In our
So,
opinion, we didn't
so
run any sort of testing. This is just us playing the games and
back in the
all
day.
that good stuff. Steve, I'll hand it over to you, sir.
All right,
The
you're
first
gonna give it to
one.
me. All right, first one for me is gonna be might be controversial, but I'm gonna say Super Mario Brothers 3 on the Nintendo.
Mario! Mario! Mario!
He's back. All you had to do was ask. Super Mario Bros. 3 from Nintendo. Now you're playing with power.
Entertainment system. That
On
game
the old
just
NES.
looks so much better than any other game on the system. You can say some of the games now, uh, sorry, back then look better, but that game blew me away. They based the whole freaking movie off it, The Wizard. So it blew me away how good it looked from Super Mario Brothers 1 all the way up to 3. It's such a change. So
Yeah, big time. I mean, even I know number two is just a
copy of another game, but
repaint of another game, but
yeah, Doki
one
Doku, I forget, but anyway.
one and two was an improvement, and then three just blows it out of the park. I mean, there's a lot of different options. It had an overworld, had all that good stuff in it, right? Like that wasn't a thing in games.
I love the way the two player worked. You had a world map, and you can go from. If you couldn't do it, maybe your buddy could do it. You know, you take turns taking cracks at different worlds. It's
Yeah,
just great. And then all the options you had, like, I remember the first time I saw that tail thing, and I could fly in the air with a raccoon tail. I was like,
Tanuki suit and all that stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
big time. I mean, it's created that game is still one of the best Mario 2D side-scrolling
I
games.
still go back
Like
to it. Like every
100%.
other holiday or something, I'll put on Super Mario Brothers, like the one with the four games in there.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
All-Star.
All Stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll play that game and I'll be like right back. Where's the damn warp pretzel? I can't remember.
Yeah,
I don't have time to play the whole game again.
yeah,
So,
exactly. I'll take the next one here. Donkey Kong Country for the Super Nintendo Entertainment
beautiful
System.
game.
That game again is kind of cheating a little bit because it had the built-in chip, just like Star Fox, but it did push the SNES beyond game. But put Donkey Kong back on the map outside of the arcade. Almost 15 years later at the time, right? It still plays excellent. When you go back to Super Nintendo or even playing it in the emulators, or sorry, on Nintendo Switch Online, it runs awesome. Um, Game plays well, looks beautiful. Steve, what do you think, man, on that one?
Game was amazing. It blew me away. I actually traded SimCity for that game, and I love SimCity, so I thought it was a bad deal until I played it. And I we never switched back. Like I lost track of the person that I played it with from school, and anyway, long story short, I think I got the better end of that stick because I got to keep Donkey Kong, and I just bought another SimCity. I think for like $5 in a bin at one point.
Nice.
But with the game, one of the things that took away from me, I'm like, wait, Mario's the bad guy? What, like, even though he's not in the game, but like Donkey Kong was just trying to do, like, he's a good dude? What?
Yeah.
Like, you can't make a bad guy good. I remember I had that
Yeah.
whole, like, moral fight. Like, I can't play this guy. He's a bad guy.
He's the bad guy.
But
Even though
yeah.
it's Cranky Kong is the bad guy to Mario, Steve. Cranky Kong is the
I
bad
know,
guy.
I know. But when you first play the game, I was brand new
Yeah.
then, too.
Yeah. True.
All right.
Uh,
I got the next one.
Yeah,
I'm
go
gonna
ahead.
go with you probably never played this actually, but I'm gonna go with
Virtua?
Virtua
Virtua
Racing on the
Racing.
32X. That game blew me away. It's so clunky and blocky to look at it now today, but because I actually played the arcade version and then I played that at home, and I'm like in my head, it's the same game. They just
Yeah. Oh yeah.
ported it. It's like, how did they make it perfect? It was far from perfect, but in my head at the time, I was just
Hey,
too excited.
on that note, I gotta go. I think Virtua Racing is one of the only 32X games I own. But Virtua Racing and Virtua Fighting 2.
So there's a difference between
Something
those.
else.
Well, it depends on
And
the
I've
system.
frozen
Sorry.
Steve. We'll see what happens here. That's an excellent picture of you, Steve.
You're frozen too, to be honest. But we'll probably use my recording, so you'll be the one
Oh.
frozen one. There, he just came back.
Oh no, you came back, Steve. You were frozen.
I got a message that my internet is unstable. It might be
You're
on my
frozen
end.
again.
Hmm. I can still hear you. Can you hear me?
Exactly. I can hear you. Oh, there we go. You're coming back in. So what I was saying, Steve, is Virtua Racing is one of the only 32X games that I own. That and Virtua Fighter 2, which was also an excellent game port from 32X. I also have the Saturn version of it, and
So there's two versions on the
excellent.
Saturn. That's why I started to talk about getting confused with the system. Right when they first released the Saturn, they had the really blocky, clunky one, and then they remember the two different versions
I should say.
on the Saturn. You got the original, and then you could mail away and get it for free. The upgraded version of Virtual Fighter.
No, I don't think I have.
Yeah, there's like the blocky one, and when it first came out on the Saturn, everyone kind of complained about it. Like, what? And then they tweaked it out and made it a lot better. But there's two versions.
No, I mean maybe I have the second version because the second version is better.
If it looks good,
think.
then yes.
Yeah, it looks, yeah. So I'll take the next one here. We're jumping out. So there's only one game here that I do not know. But I'm going to jump into the Sega Dreamcast, and as
I know where
always,
you're going.
Shenmue.
My name is Ryo Hazuki. Since my father's death at the hand of Lon D, I've been engaged in a quest for vengeance. That explains the martial arts training, the dangerous addiction to billiards, and my association with Nozomi. Now, if you'll let me go, I wish to resume my journey.
Shenmue on Dreamcast, rated T14.
That game looks beautiful. Still looks beautiful. I don't care what anyone says. Give us Shenmue 4, Sega. Give us Shenmue 4. It is an excellent game. I mean, it did push the limits at the time. It pushed the limits of gaming in that generation, right? Now, do I think it? I think it pushed the hardware of the Dreamcast. I definitely think the Dreamcast definitely had more in it. I mean, Shenmue 2 also got released everywhere else but in North America, and it ran really well and looked very good. So I mean, I gotta say Shenmue. I gotta say Shenmue. Steve, what about you, sir?
I'm going to go with Flashback on the Sega Genesis. I don't know if you ever played that game, but it was the first game to me that I thought, like, this is a PC game. How are they doing this on a console? And just like the full motion video kind of how they did the player. Like, if you ever watch how the game was made, they did it like more like how modern games are done, where they video track someone, with like the lines and the balls on them, and so they did something similar for that. And I was just like the movements and how it played, and it again, I'm into sci-fi. It was this whole sci-fi theme, so it blew me away. I got one of those moments where you get into a game not knowing what it is, and then you end up playing it for too many hours into the wee morning before. So,
yeah. No, nice. So I've never played that one, so I'll have to look it up.
It's good.
It's good. Yeah. Final Fantasy 9 for PS1.
In a world beyond dreams lives a heart without hope. The struggle for freedom is a quest for the truth. A journey begins. The fantasy returns. Rated T for teen. Squaresoft.
So I dabbled in it. I mean, I never owned a PS1 at the time, so I played it at other people's places. But from what I recall, beautiful looking game for a PlayStation 1 game. It carried decently well forward. Any of the remakes they've done so far of it, surprisingly, I don't know, Steve, did you ever get your chance to dabble into the Final Fantasy 9?
Not 9. No, I played 7. And I don't think I played a Final Fantasy again after that until 10.
Okay.
So I think I missed
9 was
two.
one of those. Yeah, 9 was one of those ones, and I remember it because it was kind of in between. I'm pretty sure it got released released late in the PS1 life cycle. Yeah, and then the PS2 was already out, and everything had already moved to PS2, right? So
I have to confess something. I was pretty heavy on trying to support Sega back then, so I had an edge against Sony. Even though the Sony PlayStation was awesome, it blew everything out of the water. It won that generation. For me, I had to have the Saturn. I had to push that, and then my secondary console, which I love, was 3DO. So PS1 took a backseat to those two consoles.
Yeah.
To me, but I did play. PS1, certain games, Resident Evil, things like that, Crash. But for me, I always if I had to pick, it was always Saturn first, and then. And not long after that, I got a Dreamcast. But anyway, that's another story.
Oh, yeah. I mean, hey, I'm in the same boat. Support the guys that are failing. Microsoft.
I know.
That's for a story for another day. So, Steve, I'm going to hand you over the next one here, sir.
Oh, what do we have left? I guess I would have to go with Crisis, because I played a lot of that.
Four days ago, NASA picked up a high-frequency signal emanating from the center of the mountain. Whatever they are, wherever they're from, we need to act quickly. Maximum strength. It's an infestation. Everybody down!
Achieved with CryEngine 3.
So
360,
in the
yes.
90s, I was a big first-person shooter on PCs. And then to play Crisis on the Xbox, I couldn't believe. I think it was the Xbox 360,
Yeah.
and I couldn't believe I could play a game like that, look that good.
I remember I remember when it got released because had come out on PC and it was like pushing PC to the limits at the time. And even anyone that was running like high-end PCs were struggling with that game. And then they released on the 360. Obviously, people were complaining about the drop in quality on the 360, but all in all, the quality did not. It wasn't a drastic change. Like it was like people that played the PC
Yeah, it was
version.
smooth. It looked great. And then the thing about you and I, we're both kind of the same this way. We'd rather sit down and play our games on a couch than sit in a chair at our computer.
Yeah.
And so I'll play games on the PC, when it makes sense or have to because it's something I want to play. But by and large, I'll play anything on a console over a PC in a heartbeat. So
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
I think you got the last one because I don't think there's much left that we highlighted.
No, I mean, for me, Shadow of the Colossus on the PS2.
Hey man, Mom needs you to, where'd you get that sword?
Beautiful game.
It was. I remember coming out. I played quite a bit of it on the PS2. Well, again, one of those things I didn't own a PS2, but I played it on other people's PS2s, and it was one of those like I'm going to sit down and hang out with my buddy and just play this game. The quality of the game, I mean, heck, it was so good that they remade it on PS3, right? Literally a generation later, they remade it. Or no, PS4. No, remade it on PS4. 2 generations later.
No,
but yeah.
2 generations later, yeah, because I was like, it's a PS2 game, and then
it came out on PS. Yeah, so I mean, just running through the fields and seeing the giants in the field, and then you just run up to them and you realize how small you are compared to them.
And it's basically just a boss battle after boss battle game. And so
exactly.
like,
yeah. And then and there was a story, but it wasn't like people.
You're the bad guy in the end.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So
sorry, spoiler alert. I should have said that.
But it was an excellent game, and yeah, it definitely pushed the PS2 to its limits. I mean, the PS2, like you were saying, unfortunately for us being Sega fans, we didn't get to reap the benefit of everything that Sega was possible on the Dreamcast. But what the PS2 came out with and did was pretty impressive right by the end of it. So. Yeah, I mean, sure, there's so many more games out there.
And we could even add things like peripherals like Steel Battalion, or you want to talk about the Kinect or something.
Well, there's
it can branch everywhere.
Yep.
So
I mean, Twilight. I mean, heck, even Breath of the Wild pushed the Switch. And that came out with the Switch.
My god, if we want to go down the Switch path and Wii path, you could talk about so much more.
Yeah,
exactly. Even games that got ported to them, you could like say that shouldn't have been able to be played on the Switch, but
yeah.
But yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hey, true. Everyone, thank you for tuning in today. Appreciate it. If obviously, like we said, there's more games. Let us know in the comments what other games we missed or you thought should be up there on the list. Give us a like and a follow if you've watched this whole thing. We really appreciate it. To everybody who is a subscriber, much love and thank you. Steve, as always,
keep collecting,
keep gaming,
and keep safe. Dink.